Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today I have another live chat, and I have with me Ryan Berger, who is actually the editor. I know he's the editor. I don't know if he's anything else about this, but it's Old School Gamer Magazine. And I did a video about this earlier, and I mean, the person I had to thank for this was, a friend of mine, and he's actually, I think he's in here somewhere.
He's not in that issue. He's in the next issue.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I just wanted to show the magazine first and then kind of talk about that. But yeah, we have Ryan Berger here, and I have a bunch of normally I ask my questions and stuff, but thanks for coming into Brian's Man Cave, and hope everything is going well with you.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Have a definite man cave of my own at home. Obviously, you can't see it, but I've got 20 arcade or video game consoles in it and 4 arcade machines. Working on decorating it up with posters. Actually, bought a couple posters at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo.
Sweet.
Past weekend.
Yes.
Let's see what I get. I got a Revenge of the Jedi poster, a Japanese poster, and a picture of Vigo the Destroyer or whatever, the guy from Ghostbusters 2 that I'm going to hang up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen pictures of those from the Ghostbusters groups and stuff that I've joined. And yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool having the Vigo thing going on there. Actually, speaking of posters, I got this also with the magazine. And I wanted to, before we start, I wanted to clarify: is this the guy from Dig Dug?
Yes, I think that's supposed to be the Dig Dug guy.
Because I know
looks like Rex just correct us. It's Vigo the Carpathian.
Vigo the Carpathian. That's right.
Yes. So yeah, the magazine. We'll talk more about it later. But I mean, I've got a great artist, Thor, who makes stuff, and we put a poster in every printed edition of our cover. So we have some people that are absolutely love our posters. Vigo the Carpathian, the Scourge of Carpathia, the Sorrow of Moldavia. Yeah, okay. We've had enough fun.
All that fun stuff. I'm just going to make sure I have... I'm just checking my thing here before we start. Normally, I like to do some question and answer type of ideas, but yeah, okay. Got a billion windows open. I hate doing that. Anyways, yeah, so... Yeah, well, as I was saying, Ryan is the editor of this magazine, and, well, I was quite impressed by this. He actually sent me this one as a review copy, and I did a video on that, so if you want to check that out, maybe I'll end up throwing a link in below. So I just wanted to start off the whole question thing of, to tell me about this magazine specifically, the website, and how you ended up getting into this. Like, is this your thing? Is it...
Well, yeah, I mean, I decided about a year and a half ago, I wanted to take my experience of being both a retro video gamer and a publisher, as I published another magazine for the mobile DJ industry, and do something fun with it. Enjoy what I'm doing and show some of my passion for the video game arena and make something cool out of it. I mean, I'm pretty proud of what we put together. That 6th issue is the one that you have there as kind of our pop culture issue. Our 7th issue that I'm working on right now is all about fighting games. Let's see, we did one on Donkey Kong. We did a maze game, an RPG, a sports game, and then we have our debut issue. So there's been 6 of them. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do with the next couple ones. It's a digital magazine and a print magazine. Digitally, it's free. oldschoolgamer.com/magazine. Check it out for free. Enjoy it. If you want the print version, like what I sent out to Brian, thanks to our friend Patrick Hickey, by the way. That's I think the name we're both trying to think of a second ago as who hooked the two of us up.
Yes, it was Patrick Hickey. Yes, it was Patrick Hickey Jr. And I actually did a live chat with him.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why my mind went blank there.
With his book, and we have a section of his book in the next issue. That Fighters issue that I just mentioned has a whole thing on his piece on Mortal Kombat. So I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's my fun. It's a passion of mine to get it all out there and to really enjoy it. In the end, yeah, I want to pay my bills so it at least breaks even, and then I'll just turn around and spend that money on new video game stuff to drive my wife crazy.
Yeah, I kind of remember. I think in the profile on Old School Gamer's website, I think you also mentioned it there as well. That this is not something that you're really turning a profit right now. And the thing that impressed me was the quality of this book. I mean, I'm a graphics person. I work in that kind of industry where I do like marketing and graphics and stuff like that. And I've had to create magazines. I've had to go to printers. I had to source it all out. And this is not cheap. Like, I know this is not cheap. So when I was looking at it, I was like, I was not expecting this good of quality of magazine. And it kind of surprised me. Like, you guys are doing this without like you don't really have a subscription fee, right? I guess
Well, the printed version there's a subscription for, but the digital version is totally free. We have right now about 600 or 700 subscribers to the print version of it, and I've been contacting people like yourself, just trying to get the word out on it. So that's why I sent you out an issue of it. But it's just about reliving the past. I mean, I grew up in the era. My first video game system was the Intellivision, okay? My first computer was a TI-99 4A that I loaded stuff off of audio cassette for. Let's see, the next console I bought was a Genesis. I love the Nintendo, but I bought the Genesis because I think it was cooler.
Yeah.
Now, I'm reliving the 80s through this. I'm getting to talk to the people that, programmed Q*bert. I'm getting to meet people like David Crane, who's known for his Pitfall game.
Pitfall, yeah.
I'm getting to meet these people and to go totally gaga over people that I thought were just the most amazing people at the time.
Now, it says in here, and I was going to ask you about this, it says editorial board, Billy Mitchell and Walter Day.
Yes.
What's up with that? Like, you actually know them?
Yeah, I actually spent last weekend with Walter. He lives about an hour and a half away from me.
Oh,
if you
cool.
check out issue number 2 of the magazine by going off the oldschoolgamer.com site, you can see the story of Walter Day, of Billy Mitchell, of how Iowa was the center of the video gaming world for about a year or two back in the early 80s. So, yeah, I'm friends with Walter, friends with Billy. I actually talked with him yesterday on stuff. He's a little bit more controversial on stuff with all the things I've gone through with him, but everybody loves Walter. I mean, if you meet Walter, you're just going to love it. And literally, if you were to meet Billy and sit and talk with him, you'll understand he's not the bad guy of King of Kong that he kind of plays there in the movie. I mean, it's a neat group of people to hang out with.
I've kind of heard that too. I mean, they really do a good job in that movie of making Steve Wiebe look like he's the hero and Billy Mitchell's the jerk. And obviously they played on that with the Pixel movie with Adam Sandler, where they got the little guy to be
the little midget guy who cheated. And at the time, the Billy Mitchell cheating stuff hadn't
actually happened yet.
But yeah, and they made him have a mullet and they had all that stuff. Walter's actually, if you didn't know, kind of represented in Wreck-It Ralph. If you remember the movie Wreck-It Ralph, the arcade store, the arcade owner, same beard, same referee shirt and everything. We're actually going to be attending a Wreck-It Ralph premiere in Iowa, in Ottumwa, where he's from, and celebrating his little piece of pop culture history.
Yeah, because there's going to be the second one's coming out soon, isn't it?
Yep, it's Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. So it's going to start with a little bit of old school gaming, and then it's going to probably go into Bejeweled and that kind of crap.
Yeah, I kind of was in that with the first one. I thought I would love that movie. I started watching it, and I liked the beginning parts. I like when you saw Q*bert. I like when you saw the ghosts and stuff. And even the Wreck-It Ralph being kind of like almost like a play on Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
That's really what they're doing, right? And I thought, this is cool. But then it kind of got into the whole modern stuff, and I lost interest in that.
Yeah, it went more into a Mario Kart-y kind of thing. It was still fun. I mean, there's
the shooting games, like the first-person shooter stuff and all. Like that gets out of my area. I'm totally I'm like you. I'm the same. I started off on the Intellivision. That was my thing. I don't know. I guess I would have been like 6 years old or something. Pretty young, starting on the Intellivision.
Have you heard the latest news on the Intellivision, by the way?
Which latest news? There's been a lot of news, actually.
Well, the big release came out this weekend at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, showing details on their console. It's not going to be out for 2 years, but details on things they're going to be doing, how it's going to be a family-friendly only system.
Oh, yes, the Amico. Yeah.
Yeah, the Amico stuff. So make sure to check that out. I saw it on Intellivision's Facebook page. So
yeah, I actually did a live chat with Tommy Tallarico a few months ago, and just after he broke the news, I contacted him, and he said, "Cool, I'd love to be on your show." And I actually did a live chat just like we're doing now, and everything he talked about, which was going to come out, they brought it out in that second discussion at the expo, and yeah, and I actually ended up doing a response video on that exact thing, probably about 15 minutes after I watched that on Facebook. There was a lot of stuff like, people were kind of upset on the Facebook thing because he didn't show the video, and we all had to wait until Monday. But other than that, I mean, he did run through everything that I was waiting to hear, and I'm totally on board with this Amico. And I know there's a lot of other YouTubers that are kind of in between on it. A lot of people are saying it's going to fail. They're kind of, I don't know why people are comparing it to the At Games products. I know you're probably familiar with those.
I'm very familiar with them. I mean, the comparison I've heard more of is comparing with the new Atari VCS that they've been talking in clouds on for the last 2 years. The people at Intellivision are already giving us, in some form, more detail on the Intellivision structure. What, 4 months after they announced it at E3 and around then? They're already giving us more detail on that stuff. Got a pop culture trivia. I don't know if he brought it up in his chat with you. You know what famous rock and roller he's related to?
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler, yep. Steven Tyler's actual last name is Tallarico.
Tallarico, yeah, I looked that up.
Rock and roll royalty there, no doubt about it.
Exactly. I actually remember when I did my chat with him at some point. I mean, Tommy's he's very, very high strung, a very energetic person. He's very, I mean, he loves what he loves what he's doing. He loves to talk about it. And when I was doing my conversation with him, it was almost one-sided because it was hard for me to get a word in with him. But at some point, I did ask him about that, about, how does he feel sometimes, feeling like, people might be saying you're only this because of him. Or, they bring up Steven Tyler, and he's like, well, and he kind of gave the answer I was expecting, is that he doesn't want to just be compared to him. He's his own person. He did it himself. And so I thought, he was pretty genuine with that. Like, yeah, he didn't just like run off of Steven Tyler's coattails, obviously, because he didn't start a rock band. He didn't try to be Steven Tyler. He did his own thing. And the thing I like about Tommy is that he's just like us. He grew up in the Intellivision era. That was his thing. And that's what the Amico is targeting. And I'm seeing a lot of these people are constantly saying things like, who is this for? Who's going to like this? Who's going to want? And most of those people saying that are like PlayStation people, Xbox people, modern gaming. Yeah. This system is not for them. It's not designed for them. I mean, if they want to play their PlayStation 4 or whatever, or 5 or 6, whatever comes out after, with all the flashy graphics, the three-dimensional, whatever, if they want to live in that world, sure, they can live in that world. But there is a lot of people like me who, like even today, I'll walk into a Walmart and I will see PlayStation 4 stuff. I'll see Xbox One or whatever it is. That's the big Xbox now. I see all this stuff and I'm like, I'm not interested. I see the At Game stuff and I'm kind of like, those are cool, but they're just emulating the systems I have at home. Nothing is that stuff that I would really want to play. And
yeah, the At Game stuff and the similar products from people like Retrobit and stuff like that are great. They're mainstream products and stuff like that too. But there's a ton of stuff coming out for people like you and me that's out there. The fanatic market with things. So, I mean, overall, I'm very excited for what they're doing. If you watch the Facebook interview or Facebook piece that they did on their Facebook Live on Saturday afternoon, it gives a lot more detail. I mean, it talks about how this is going to be the most advanced 2D system. They're not doing anything 3D at all. It's 2D. It's going to be advanced in that area. It's going to have a lot of playability kind of stuff and things like that. I think at $150 and the games ranging from $5 to $8, it's going to do very well. look for a lot more information coming. We're 2 years out. I mean, Tommy bought this business when Keith passed away, who was the holder of the torch for Intellivision, and he's doing some neat stuff with it.
And I remember following the Intellivision line when it sort of resurfaced back with the Intellivision Lives. I think that was like 1995, the first the PC game. And I remember it first came out. I think I was just kind of digging around, going, "Gee, I missed my Intellivision," and I found that, and it was kind of like, introduced me to the whole Blue Sky Rangers thing. So the fact that it was still kicking around, but I always figured it was just going to remain in the past. Like, it was just going to be there for people like us to just reminisce about it. And then the flashback came out, and it didn't do too well.
No.
Some people say that, the flashback came out, didn't do too well. But I mean, that flashback really is just a plug and play system that plays like, I don't know what, 80 or 60 or something of the classic games. It doesn't do anything else. And, it's not going to introduce anything new. The Amico is going to be new. It's going to be bringing out new stuff. And it's going to be blending with Atari, which I thought was really crazy.
The console wars are back.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that, the Atari VCS is supposed to be coming out at some point in time. I don't know. We still don't. I mean, we still have very little information about the VCS, which is sad.
And they also have about $3 or $4 million of people's money, too.
Yeah, they have all your money. They don't really have a system to show. I mean, they got renderings, and they did that. Didn't they do like a video or something where they were pretending they were playing a game, but they actually weren't? It was just like a simulation.
On simulation, something like that. I like the note that Mr. Toon's making in the chat there. People are judging the system without even playing it, and you can't play it yet. They aren't going to have development kits for this system until next summer.
Exactly.
So, it was neat because in the presentation of Portland Retro Gaming, Gary Kitchen was in there. David Crane was in there. All these programmers from back in the day are getting involved. And if you look at the team of people that enlist in the video there is the marketing people and PR people from releasing the Nintendo. There's the guy that made Moon Patrol and did all the stuff, a bunch of stuff with connections there. They've really assembled a greatest hits team, an all-star team from the past to put this together and to make a neat thing out of it. So yeah, I'm excited about that. That Portland Retro Gaming show is absolutely a blast. You got to get out to that one.
I know. I've been watching people's videos and stuff. A buddy of mine, another YouTuber, Happy Beer Games, he put out a video, and he met Howard Scott Warshaw there, and he met Metal Jesus Rocks and Reggie, like all these like YouTubers and stuff. I'm like, damn. But I'm in Canada. For me to travel that far to get down there, and I have a job, I have family and priorities.
Are you on the East Coast? East Coast, or where are you out of?
I'm near Toronto.
Okay. Best show for you to get to, Midwest Gaming Classic, Milwaukee. Every April, it's about 10,000 people, similar vibe. David Crane came out last year at my request and talked with people. The whole cast members of all the guys who got digitized for Mortal Kombat were there. It was the thing. So Milwaukee is probably your best shot. Otherwise, there's a good show in Philadelphia and some upstate New Jersey stuff. So there is one in Syracuse coming up, actually in a couple weeks. I don't know how long it takes for you to cross the border and head over towards Syracuse, but there's a smaller show out there soon. The reason why I know this is literally in the last year, I've gone to about 20 of these expos, and there is some really cool stuff there. Just like going to a Comic-Con, half the entertainment is everybody else that's there. The other half is buying cool stuff.
Yeah, we had not too far from where I live. We had an expo in the summer, but it's much smaller in scale. There was local people there, so it wasn't anything like to this degree. So when I saw this thing, I was just like, that's insane. I mean, just the video footage of all the different the booths that they had, all the different retro games that they had. This thing that near my house, I mean, I felt like the oldest stuff I could find would be maybe Nintendo. There's a few Atari, but it was like the commons. I have pretty much all the Atari games I want. But it didn't seem like most of it was just like more modern stuff. So it didn't really do anything for me. So seeing things like the Portland Retro Gaming, like that seems like something I should, jump on the train and get down there, or airplane or whatever, how to get down there and actually check it out. Even just the amount of people that go to it, like all the other YouTubers that go to it, it's just insane. It's a lot of people there. It'd be really cool to actually check it out.
Very cool. Very cool. So I guess what else do you want to know about what I do? I guess people in the chat room. I guess there's people asking about what about me? I'm in the Montreal area. Well, let's see. New Jersey, upstate New York. There's some stuff in Philadelphia. There's some stuff outside of Boston. There's a lot of U.S. shows out there, and we do a lot of coverage on them. If you want to check out the magazine, oldschoolgamer.com, click on magazine, you can see coverage of past shows. Let's see. Let me grab an issue. Well,
yeah, I'll have to put the link in after we're done. I'll put the link in and stuff just for people watching it afterwards. But
yeah, but I mean, we do coverage of what these shows are like because I've been attending a ton of them, and you can just check out stuff there. And if you're interested, show. I mean,
yeah, you can even see in the back here, like I noticed you got a lot of different things.
Yeah, we got a bunch of different ones there. I mean, this one issue right here, we went to Arcade Expo, Texas Pinball Festival, Connecticut GamerCon, the Louisville Arcade Show, and I think that was enough of them. I mean. If I'm not there personally, we've been sending people to a ton of these shows. You get a free copy of the magazine for coming by our booth too. RetroCon in Pennsylvania, yes. Big Easy 77 mentioned that. Very cool stuff. And yeah, it's going to cost you some money to get there, but find some friends and road trip it. I mean, there's no better way to do it than road tripping with a bunch of buddies.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good way to do it. I mean, that was one of the things I noticed when I did my video about this magazine, and I talked about all the different ads that you throw in there, and they really gear towards like the retro community really well. I mean, so many different vendors, so many different people. Do you deal with a lot of people that sell stuff too? There's even that thing on this one about the Intellivision too.
Yeah, that was our little piece about it, telling what they're doing and what Tommy did before, his with his video games live stuff.
Video game live.
Working with them, trying to work with like the Retrobit people. Someone mentioned that they love Retrobit and stuff in the chat room. We work with those. We're working with different advertisers. Video Games Monthly. It's one of those box type services that you get new stuff that you don't already have. That's how I'm trying to pay the bills with this kind of stuff. We've got a couple new people coming on, build your own arcade game kits. We've got a new retro community, drawing a blank on the name of it right now, that allows you to trade games sort of like an eBay style, but it's all with video gamers, and you can search for different pieces. There's some retro stuff out there just about everywhere.
Yeah, I also noticed you had Stacy Burns in here too, which really, like, it was funny when I was looking through this copy, and I'm like, the amount of things in here that I've already, kind of collaborated or touched upon. And Stacy Burns was one of the people that reached out to me on Facebook, and he wanted me to showcase his collection. And I thought that was cool to actually see him in the magazine at the same time. I've been communicating with him for a while now. He created the Facebook group Console Purist. So if you're into Facebook and you want a good group to actually join, that's all about retro gaming, and he makes it a point to not have anybody disrespecting anyone. He wants it to be a clean group. No
he's got
inappropriate
a really
behavior.
Nice group of people in there that communicate on this kind of stuff. So it sounds like we've been a couple steps off for each other for the last probably 6-8 months or so as we've been doing things. And I'm glad we were able to hook up and talk a little bit more. I mean, this is the type of stuff that we all enjoy, and the internet's making it all possible for us to come together.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, it was Patrick Hickey Jr. Who wrote the Mind Behind the Games, and it's funny, I met him through Sanye, which was my very first live chat. And Sanye is an award-winning singer who happens to also enjoy the video game world. She's a big Sega Genesis fan, big Sonic the Hedgehog fan. And I saw her stuff on Twitter. I saw, she always wear these dresses that had like Donkey Kong on them and Nintendo stuff. And so I met her through Twitter, and I asked her if she would like to be my first live chat person. And she agreed to it. And through that live chat, I met Patrick Hickey, who then moved me on to more people. So it was actually kind of cool, and that's what I noticed about this the retro gaming community in general. A lot of people are very friendly. Like they're really, obviously you're gonna get some jerks, but I mean, most of the time you deal with people that want to actually communicate with each other, and so yeah, just meeting all these people has just been amazing. Like just finding stuff, and so to know that like something like this actually exists, and what I wanted to say too is you don't see too many of these things anymore in the stores. I don't know if is it because of the internet, is it because because there's still a lot of magazines out there, and I go into I look at my local magazines, I don't see stuff like this. I see what's the one that's big in the UK,
there's Retro Gamer UK, and that's my goal is to be putting something out as cool as what they do. I've been subscribing to that for 10 plus years, and
yeah.
We really want to do a US based version of that kind of thing, and we're getting there. Just in this last week, actually, there's 2 other magazines went out of business in the UK. So I mean, the magazine business is a tougher business right now. You got to really provide something that no one else is providing to do it, to make a good thing out of it. And that's where us hooking up with people like yourself and other people and finding where Old School Gamer can be different than everything else that's out there. There's great YouTube channels. There's absolutely fantastic chat areas, mostly on Facebook. There's absolutely fantastic blog stuff out there. We're just working on finding our niche that's a little bit different than what everybody else does.
Yeah, and I mean, like you were saying, like it's subscription based. But when I was on the website, so is it done through Patreon? Is it how is it done? How do people get this magazine?
We have a couple different ways. First of all, if you go to the oldschoolgamer.com/subscribe URL, you can get the free digital version. Period. That takes you to install our app. You can download it that way if you want to, and you'll get a notification every time we put out something new. The other side of the equation is there's links off of the site when you go into the magazine area that you can subscribe via Patreon if you don't want to pay for the whole year. You could just do a quick, I think it's $6.95 or $5.95, whatever, through Patreon. And every time we publish, Patreon bills your credit card automatically. Or we have a deal where you can pay a little bit less and pay for a full year, like a normal magazine subscription used to be back in the day, and pay $30 a year to subscribe to it. So we try to make it available in a couple different ways. Just however you guys want to ingest it, we want to provide it to people. What I tell people when they come by our booth at the shows is, here, have a free copy of the magazine, because we can hand them out there at the shows really easily. And if you like it, spread the word about it, enjoy it digitally. If you really like it, come back and give me $30 and you can help us fund it. So it's not something that you have to do by any means.
Well, that's the thing. I find that oftentimes the retro community is very generous in their the way they do things. I mean, just the trading of games, and people want to invest in this because I think we all want to keep it going. We want to keep it alive. We don't want to just say that the whole community's in the past and that it's only the modern games that exist, because things like I don't know, PlayStation, they're great. I mean, the Wii is okay. I'm okay with some of them, but I just find that the older games are a lot more fun, and I just it's true. The nostalgia is a big thing too. I mean, when I look at this cover on here and I see all these favorite characters, I just remember a lot of this stuff, and I like playing them still. So it's great to still see magazines, like physical magazines that exist. Yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny. This is going to relate to what we were talking about before. In there, I just noticed that it does say that guy is Dig Dug.
Yep. To make it even tougher, and we eventually published a picture of this one, but check out this cover here, okay? Those are all characters that we had done on our first one. And you could probably, being a retro guy, figure out who most of them are.
Oh,
we're trying to do the thing where there's lots of different characters to the magazine covers. The next one we've got is all on fighting games. And it's got like 15 different primary characters. I mean, it's got guys from Street Fighter. It's got guys from King of Fighters. It's got Mortal Kombat dudes in it. It's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's great that you can continue on with all different kinds of themes. I think I even saw one of the, maybe it was on the website I saw it. it looked like the cover had more of a Donkey Kong theme. That one
the
looked
Donkey
really
Kong
cool.
issue. Let's see. I will grab that one. Is this one here? And we've actually got a little Billy Mitchell, little Walter Day kind of vibe going in there too. So that was our second issue we put out.
That's
if
really
you want
cool.
to learn a lot about the history of the competitive gaming and Iowa's connection in all of that, that's a neat issue. That turned out really cool.
And you can go online and actually see that, like through, because you keep everything online, right? All the archives too, right?
Yeah, all the old magazines are there. And actually, if you go into our magazine area, let me pull it up on my screen real quickly. The rights to a bunch of other magazines that have launched and failed, literally. So if you click on magazines off the main site, we've got stuff from Classic Console Magazine that put out some issues, Classic Gamer Magazine, Video Game Collector, Video Game Trader, other magazines that came out. So, I mean, there's no shortage of material out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I think, being in the retro world, we are all about the physical. We like
the cartridge.
We like the cartridges.
We want the real thing.
Yeah, and so when we have and I totally remember buying magazines way back in the day, even on the Commodore 64 days. I'm a big Commodore 64 fan myself. I mean, that was after the Intellivision. I had a Commodore 64, and I used to get these magazines called Compute Gazette. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It's Compute Gazette, sorry. And these ones not only had like a lot of information about television and the video gaming world and computers, but then it had like programs you could type in, so you can actually type in on your Commodore 64.
I remember typing these in. If you got a couple of characters wrong, it would just die.
Oh yeah, because you'd get a syntax error or something like that. Yeah. And yeah, so even then, and then even later on, when I started getting into like card games, like physical card games, like Magic the Gathering and stuff like that, I was even buying magazines then. And this is all before you can go online. And I felt that once the online thing hit big, once everybody started going online, that's when I felt like the magazines were kind of slowly disappearing. And I really didn't like that. I really enjoyed the magazine. I like having a physical copy. I really enjoy like actually being able to read without having to go online, and you can take this with you places. Like, I don't know, it's really up to the person though. I mean, you got tablets and stuff like that, so it's not a big deal. But I just finding having that physical copy is just really cool. So
yeah, Mr. Toon just making a quick comments. I miss EGM, and yeah, understood on that one. And I wish you could write for a mag like this one. Email me, seriously. If you've got something good to say and some information on stuff, I love this kind of stuff. So email me off at rb@oldschoolgamer.com, and maybe we'll have some more of our friends from the chat room showing up in the magazine.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I'm going to add some of these links, or at least the link to the website. When we're done here, I'll add it to the below. So in the description box, so people can click on it and find you easily. If not, I mean, Google's a thing. You can go on there, Old School Gamer Magazine. I just wanted to also move on to another thing, just a little bit more about you, and what did you enjoy playing when you were a kid? Like, if you grew up in the Intellivision era, just like me, what were your favorite games? What did you enjoy playing?
I mean, I like the common knockoff type games that the Intellivision had, of the Astro Smashes, that kind of stuff. I really got into gaming even more once I got my Apple II computer, playing the Bard's Tales, the Ultimas, the Karatekas, Lemmings, Load Runner, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of skipped things for a while when I got into college, and did some more PC gaming a little bit there. And then more recently, I mean, the last 10, 12 years, maybe even 15, I've gotten into arcade games. I mean, I literally have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5 arcade machines in my basement, 2 of them in my family room, and I own a couple more of them. I like the arcade scene.
The old arcades, like Centipede, yeah. Pac-Man, or the newer stuff like Street Fighter.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite arcade machine of all time is the Atari Star Wars, the Vector game that came out. I love that stuff. I love playing Dig Dug. Robotron, Burger Time, that kind of stuff.
Burger Time, yeah. Now, it's funny you say Burger Time because I think, I think a lot of people will say this, but Intellivision had one of the best ports of Burger Time.
Yeah.
And the new Intellivision Amico is supposed to have a Super Burger Time. I don't know what that means, but I never heard of a Super Burger Time. Is that actually a thing? Like, is there?
Well, there actually was a sequel to Burger Time called Diner.
Diner, yes.
Yeah. One very popular stuff. Super Burger Time, they're just going to reinvent it a little bit more and put some style to it. I saw some of the stuff they're working on, and they're trying to get the theme of the game still being there, the same basic gameplay on things, bouncing off of the style as to what it was.
Yeah, Diner, I have that on Intellivision. I haven't really explored it too much. I need to really dive into that one and do a video on that one, but I think there was also a Burger Time on the Game Boy or something like that too, which dived into a whole different kind of atmosphere. I mean, Game Boy itself started coming out with a lot of the classic titles, which was really cool. I mean, when they brought back Donkey Kong, in a sense, like it's the first 4 levels, and then there's like 90 other levels that are not, like it's all puzzle building levels. It's kind of cool, but and that's the thing. Like a lot of the nostalgia stuff sort of tacked on to a lot of the newer systems that came out. Like I have Intellivision Lives, also on I think the PlayStation 2. I want to say, and I don't. Not the Wii, but I know from PlayStation I have, and this is what I thought was kind of funny when I first bought my PlayStation. I'm not a 3D person, so when I started playing games like Tomb Raider, I was lost. I was lost. I was sad at that. I'm still lost at it. And then I started buying things like Atari Flashbacks, which had all the Activision games, and I was buying the arcade Flashbacks. And then at some point, I started realizing how ridiculous this was. I bought a modern system to play classic games on there. And I bet you a lot of people are like that, who are like us, who, we buy the new systems just to play the old games on it. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's still happening today. I mean, the Switch, they're putting all the old stuff on there. Even the Xbox had classics. The Activision.
I'm planning on buying a Switch. I'm hoping they're doing some kind of Thanksgiving Black Friday specials, so I'm planning on buying a Switch.
Yeah.
The one other thing I got recently, Big Easy 77 just brought up in the chat room, these arcade 1-up machines.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen those? I had one I gave away at the Portland show, and I have one in my family room right now, in addition to my other arcade machines. $300 or $400, and it's pretty darn close with it. I mean, it's using the original ROMs. The only thing that's different is the cabinet is only like 2/3 or 3/4 the size.
Yeah, it's like almost like half the size.
Yeah, and so essentially you got to put it on a little bit of a stand or sit down when playing it. And the wood's a little bit cheaper. But for those of you that can't afford a full retro cabinet, the full scene, and buying it that way, this is a neat way of having that arcade kind of environment in your family room. And they're going to be all over Christmas. The marketing people told me that Walmart bought 100,000 of these to sell. Plus they're being sold at GameStop. Plus they're being sold at like Bed Bath & Beyond and a bunch of other stores. They are really freaking cool.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. It's kind of interesting that we're in this kind of I don't know. It's weird. Like if you think from like say Nintendo, when Nintendo Entertainment System first hit this scene, Atari was on its way out, and we didn't see any of this stuff for a very long time. I mean, it kind of was like there, but it wasn't there. And then all of a sudden now, it just seems like everywhere you go, you're running into the flashback systems. You're running into those little mini arcades or whatever they call it, those little mini things. Yeah. Which I've still not bought one.
Have you seen the little $12 ones they have in Walmart?
In my Walmart, they're not $12. In my Walmart, they're about $24 or something like that.
Well, there's a couple different ones. There's one literally called Tiny Arcade.
Yeah,
they're keychainable.
Yeah,
they actually are keychain. Okay,
yeah, we have those, but they're not. They're not cheap.
Yeah, and then there's the My Arcade ones that are probably 6 inches
bigger.
tall. They have like a 3-inch screen on them.
Yeah, and they have like Cubert, Frogurt, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, but they're all like over $20 here in Canada. way too much for what they are. I mean, the screens are not even, most of them, like the Pac-Man, it's like a black and white screen, like, you know, that black dots and black, no color.
Well, there's some other ones. I'll send you a link to them and stuff too. The Tiny Arcade series
yeah. We have the Tiny Arcades one too. That they're little tiny things.
Yeah,
and those ones
like 1 inch. I mean, it's not playable.
And they have like Miss Pac-Man and Galaga, I think, or Galaxian, one of those. And I remember I was looking at it in the store and I thought, oh, this is cool. And I went and I scanned it, and it was like literally like I think it was $24 or something. I'm like, nope. I went back and put it back. I'm like, I ain't gonna pay that kind of money. I mean, we get gypped here. Even the flashbacks are expensive here. Like the flashback portable is like way over $50 or something like that. Yeah. They have the Sega Genesis, the at-game Sega Genesis thing, which a lot of people trash. A lot of people say is horrible. The sound is horrible. Everything else is horrible. That's $99 here. So after tax, you're like
145 or 50 down here.
Exactly.
There is something new coming out from Hyperkin, by the way, that is a Sega Genesis unit that allows you, and I think it actually came out yesterday, or what did it say? Today's Wednesday, Monday, that allows you to play your own Sega Genesis cartridges HDMI upscaled. And that's about $60 here, which means it'll be like 100 and some for you up in Canada. But still, there's neat stuff coming. As long as the industry supports them, they're going to keep on making these things.
Well, and the Retron 77.
I got one. Yep.
You got one? Yeah. I've only been seeing videos on it. I was actually kind of hyped about it when they first talked about it, and you know, especially when they said you can actually load in ROMs onto it, and so I was like really stoked. But then the first video started coming out about it, and it sounded like it's not as good as they say. I don't know.
It's pretty freaking cool. There's limitations on that. You can only have 10 ROMs on the SD card. They do that for piracy purposes.
But they created a patch that allows you to now download.
Yeah, I'm sure people found a way around that.
No, actually, Hyperkin released it. It's an actual official patch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a very well built piece. The people were complaining about the joysticks. Like, joystick. It's a $10 joystick. You go bang, 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 bang on some of the games like they used to. You're gonna break it just like we did back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
not as durable as
I saw that sucker about a year and a half ago, and it's cool. It actually ROM dumps the file and runs an emulator to do it.
Okay, so it's not actually reading off the cartridge.
No, it pulls it down and runs Stella, the most popular emulator for it, an early version of Stella that they licensed. It's worth getting if you can buy it at a reasonable price.
I've heard that they're almost in short supply now.
They actually sold out their whole first press run. I talked with the guys at Hyperkin, their whole first run of them, and there's more due in like a month or so. But yeah, they made a ton of them. They all sold out like in a month. So that's a good sign.
I know a buddy of mine, also another YouTuber, the Atari Creep. He had very little, didn't have a lot of good experience with it. And he actually did a couple of videos. He did one where he was trying to play some cartridges and it wasn't working. And he found out there was a problem with it. He had to send it back to Hyperkin. They sent him another one. And then he started having the joystick problems. And then he got to a point where he's just like really upset with the whole system.
The only stuff that I found that will not run on it is anything that was made by like Atari Ace on these new re-releases, you know, that have extra processors on them. Any of them that are purely from the retro arena back then, I have not seen a single one not play yet. But some of the new retro-y kind of stuff wouldn't work on it because heck, they're putting processors in these cartridges that are 100 times more powerful than the original Atari was.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been seeing that with like a lot of the homebrews and stuff where, obviously, like when they had to make the cartridges in the past, they had to cut costs. I mean, Pitfall was done on what do they say, like the 4K was it or something, or
4 or 8K, and had to do some bank.
I think it was 4K.
Yeah, 8K back then cost like $30. Yeah.
And I think I remember watching something with David Crane, and he was saying he originally programmed Pitfall to be on 8K, and then they told him it couldn't be, and he had to like go through the coding and squish it down and do all this crazy crap. I mean, this is why a lot of people are like, you know, oh, why are the old games crap? And you look at today's Atari games like the homebrews, and they're like, look how great they can make Donkey Kong now. But yeah, but they didn't have the time constraints, they didn't have the limitations, and they also didn't have any history. Because you have to think about, like, today we have all this history to look back on. Back in 1982, 81, they didn't have that. Video games didn't exist before then. So they didn't have anything to look at. They didn't have anything to compare it to. And you can't just say, oh, well, the arcades existed, because there's no way an Atari system could have ever matched the arcade, right?
Yeah, an arcade machine cost $1,000 back in the day, and they're selling you the console for $200 and a game for $30. You really expect the same experience. I mean, and then advance up to about the PS1 era when the home consoles were now more powerful than the arcade stuff was. So
it's kind of a funny shift, that back then you used to go to the arcade to play something far more superior to what you would ever have at home. Like you would as well. I mean, the Intellivision, and I'm known for always backing the Donkey Kong on the Intellivision, even though everybody's gonna say it's crap. It was special to me, and I loved Donkey Kong because of that. But you go to the arcade, and it's apples and oranges. I mean, it's just never compared to and none of the consoles at the time until the ColecoVision came out. And if you were lucky to have a ColecoVision, usually people either had one or the other, right? I don't know if that was with you. I mean, for me, one of the nostalgia things about thinking about this is that you usually knew somebody that had the other system.
Yeah.
So we started with the Intellivision.
We'd all have fun with it.
Yeah. So we had the Intellivision. Our friend down the street had the Atari. Someone else we knew had the Coleco. And that's the way it was, because people couldn't afford, like your parents could not afford to buy you all these expensive systems back then, and they wouldn't justify it. Today it's different. I mean, it's totally different. You don't get that. And even if someone does say I have an Xbox and I have a PlayStation 4, they pretty much play the same games and they play the same quality of games. There's no difference, right? So
I mean, the only thing that's really different of the three modern ones is the Switch. I mean, it's different format of stuff. It's the only place you can play that type of a game, and that's where I think this Intellivision we were talking about earlier is really going to take what the Wii did for video gaming of making it a family atmosphere. It's going to take that even further.
Yeah, I like how Tommy's been mentioning that too. And he raised a lot of great points about the Wii, and that people really thought of it like, just like you were saying, like it feels like it's a nostalgia. It feels like it's a retro. It's taking us back to the old style of game, but it really wasn't. Like it sort of came out that way. It had this, like, you can play bowling, and it had this new experience, and it made it feel like but then all the games started to like turn out to be more modern. And I struggle. I go to the stores today, I look through all the Wii games, and there's none that I want to pull out and say I want to buy this. Like, there's none. And I kind of feel like I just bought the Wii for Wii Sports. And I have like a few retro stuff on there. Very few. One of the games I ended up buying was Impossible Mission, which was my favorite game on the Commodore 64, which also was on the Atari 7800. And the fact that it was on the Wii, but it was also on the PlayStation and other systems. But
just a quick thing on that one. Did you ever play Impossible Mission on the 7800?
Yeah, it's actually impossible.
Yeah, it actually is impossible. A friend of mine at Good Deal Games actually had a programmer go into the code and make it so it was a possible mission. So you can buy a copy of Possible Mission from Good Deal Games.
Do they still sell that today?
Yeah, he still sells. I bought a copy of it from a while back. So yeah, all it was is somewhere in the game that there's a randomizing code that one of the pieces you need to gather was behind a door that you needed to have the piece to get through to get.
I think it put it behind a computer. There's computer terminals, that you can't search. You use them for something else in the game. I think it put a piece under there, so you cannot search it to get the piece. And I actually found that out after, like, I bought my 7800 on eBay from a guy who was selling it with a whole bunch of games, and Impossible Mission was in there. And and I was so stoked to be able to play Impossible Mission on an Atari. And that after that, I found out that you can't beat it, and I wanted to try it for myself. And I literally sat there playing it until I got to the point where I'm like, I found every single place, and I cannot beat this game. And so it's absolutely true. I heard they fixed it though for the PAL version. So we're in the NTSC, but the PAL region, I guess by the time it got released there, they fixed it.
Yeah,
So
there's also people that have gone back and fixed some of the little tweaks that Howard Scott Warsaw wasn't able to do because of the short time on ET. There's an improved version of ET that someone spent like another week on, fixed all the things that drive people crazy about ET for the 2600.
Oh, you mean like falling down the hole?
Pretty freaking cool game.
You mean like falling down the hole the moment you get back out of the hole? Which was probably one of the most frustrating parts of that game. It's like you get out of the hole and then you fall back in, you get back out, you fall back in. That's like probably the most frustrating part of that whole game.
He's a neat guy. He's actually a clinical psychologist in Southern California now.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I remember looking him up, and I ended up sending him a few emails and talking with him and trying to get him to do a live chat. And he's been so busy. He's just like, can't do it now. Just too much stuff on the go. He's constantly going to these shows. He's doing this. So, but he's a really cool guy. I mean, I have talked to him a little bit, and
I had him sign his 3 games that he released when he was with Atari. One of the best ever, Yar's Revenge. Another good one, Indiana Jones. And then, there's E.T.
Well,
which is the best game ever made in 6 weeks.
I actually liked E.T. And that was my thing. I remember my, I guess, friend of the family's, they had a ColecoVision, and I guess they had the Atari expansion module. Because that was the first place I ever played E.T. And I know they had a Coleco. So I must have played it on their expansion module. And I liked it when I was a kid. I thought it was amazing. I'm like, look at this. There's all these levels you can go around. You can go do all this stuff. It looked like E.T. It actually looks like him. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I didn't think anything of it. And even when I got my Atari and I tracked down a copy of the game and I was playing it, I didn't have any problem with it. And then it's just like it seemed like it became this whole thing of, worst game ever, brought down the whole video gaming market, which is a complete sham. I mean, and let's not forget that this was really a North American crash. This was not a worldwide crash, which a lot of people don't realize. Like, it was not like a worldwide gaming crash, because in Australia and England and stuff, they never heard of the crash. They were like, what are you talking about? To them, games were just continuously going, right? And the crash had more to do with I guess economics and who knows, maybe
it was largely a quality control issue that Nintendo then mostly fixed, with their seal of quality and the 10 whatever chip it was and stuff like that, which got things under better control. I mean, the Atari could be replicated so easily by other people with stuff. They back engineered or whatever they did with it, and the newer systems just didn't allow for it. The industry learned from that, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and at the time at the Atari, there was so many bad games coming out, and stuff that were like mail order games, like Chase the Chuck Wagon or whatever. That game. You had to like send in Purina UPC codes, and you got this game, and it's actually quite. You play it, and you're like, what is this? And other games that just kind of showed up, and you're like, what in the heck? Like Kool-Aid Man.
And those are the games that are now rare and very expensive to get hold of.
I ended up picking up a copy of the Chuck the Chase Wagon game and the manual, which was pretty cool. Somebody who had it in her collection since she was a kid decided to get rid of it, and I'm like, I'll take it. And but it's neat to play it. But you play it and you're like, wow, this game is just bad. And if you're thinking like, some of these games, people probably had to spend quite a bit, like $60 or something, like brand new games.
Current,
yeah, like on in that time, and they would have been spending quite a bit of money on these games, and it's like, that's it, that's what I get. And even Indiana Jones, I'm kind of on the fence on that one. It's neat, it's interesting, but the double controller thing, and it's confusing, and there's a lot of like, even now I've never completed it. It's watched videos on it and stuff like that. Anyways, let's move on to the very last thing I just want to talk about. What are your future plans? I know you were talking about the magazine. You want to build this up. You want to get this going. You want people to subscribe to it. So what are your future plans? Because I know there's a lot coming up. There's a lot of things.
Well, yeah, I mean, the next issue's Fighting Games. If you subscribe right now, you'll actually get that as long as you do it in the next couple of days in your mailbox, literally in about 3 or 4 weeks. We're going to continue to expand the content we're putting in. We're going to keep it as a every other month type of magazine and just add more pages to it, add more content as we get more good stuff. As long as the content stuff that you really can't find anywhere else, or very minimally in other places, we're going to keep on pulling it in. I mean, the Battlezone article we have in this issue is fantastic. We've got an article written by Warren Davis, who actually made the digitizing system for Mortal Kombat and Qbert, well, Qbert first, talking about a Highlander game that never got released. We've got some other neat stuff about the court cases between Nintendo and some of the other players in the industry. We've got some stuff that you might find in very surfacey kind of level material in other places, but hasn't been covered in the depth that we're going to do it. So we're going to keep on going to as many of the cons as we can, enjoying it. I got to get about double the subscribers I have right now, and then I'll be happy. But I don't see any reason why people shouldn't plunk down $30 and subscribe to the magazine if you like what you see in the digital form.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I hope we can get this message out more. And even if you just go to the website to check it out, check out the the online that you can download or whatever, and look at them online. There's just so much good stuff in there. I mean, I haven't even finished reading this one. There's just so much in here I want to get to. It's just like even just things like the Happy Meal stuff, because I remember that stuff.
Happy Meal toys. That was a neat piece. Yeah,
and the lottery tickets that had the scratch and play, and I mean, there's just like everything that has to do with retro. So if you're totally into retro, you got to check this out.
Yeah, do me a favor when you go to the site oldschoolgamer.com and click on the subscribe stuff. Put in Brian's Man Cave in there so I can give this guy a little bit of credit for bringing some more people to our vibe. It helps us know where people are hearing about us.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Just to kind of know where people came from, and hopefully I can make a dent. I mean, I'm slowly building up. I mean, I'm just a little over 900 subscribers as we're doing this, so that's pretty cool. I mean, I started this channel about 2 years ago, okay. So slowly growing. But hopefully I can make a dent and I can help you out. And I just did a video on another guy, the Renaissance, and I'm trying to help him out too because he's got some pretty cool stuff going on in the retro gaming world, and it's related to artwork. So if you haven't checked that video out, check it out. It's on my channel, The Renaissance, and he does actually video game stuff. So, or mostly Nintendo era, but I'm sure he's open to other avenues. So, anyways, yeah, I just want to thank Brian Berger for coming on, and I want to thank Patrick Hickey Jr. For connecting us together, because that's just the way that this community works. We all work together. We all connect each other. We got so many great people that so many great YouTubers out there who really like to throw people in. I've even seen in the chat there's a bunch of people in there. I saw at some point, where was she? There was Linda, aka the Gamer Girl. She popped in. I don't know if she's still in there. But, she's another YouTuber that really likes to talk about the old retro stuff. And so this is where this comes in, just meeting all these really cool people and being able to chat, communicate with them. And hopefully I can get Linda on my show at some point in time. I got a whole bunch of people I want to have on the show. I only do the live chats every once in a while. I don't do them every week. I mean, it's a lot of stuff to do. So, I try to do it as quick and, as concise as I can get it. And I try to have at least one or two a month. And so it was cool having you on, and I got a bunch of other people lined up. If I can get some time, I'm trying to get people like Tim Lapatino, who wrote The Art of Atari. So if
great guy.
Yeah, I've been talking with him for a while, but he's a busy man. Like I said, I've been trying to get Howard Scott Warshop, but I don't think that'll ever happen. He's way too busy.
Yeah, I've been trying to get through to him too. Let's talk next week sometime. I can hook you up with a couple of people. I mean, if you want to get Walter Day in here, heck, we might be able to get Mr. Billy Mitchell to show up sometime.
I actually spoke to Walter Day on Facebook, and I said, "What are the chances I could get Billy Mitchell?" I knew it wouldn't happen, but he's like, "Hey, I can ask him. You don't know," and I'm like, even if I could get him on, I don't even know what the hell I would say to him, but it would be so cool.
Well, maybe next time Walter's up my way, I'll help him get on, and you can talk to him about his whole past history. I mean, I spent a lot of time with him in the last week, and I heard a lot of stuff about that man. He was amazing even before he got involved in the video game industry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm noticing a lot of people just jumping in right now. OM James Gaming just came in, and Green Lantern HG, they're both late. I know Green Lantern's always late. He's late to the party a lot, but we got the replays. He can check out the replays.
Well, cool. Just everybody check out oldschoolgamer.com when you have a chance, and make sure to put that you heard about it through Brian's Man Cave, and we'll see you guys in the cave again soon.
Great. Thanks. I want to thank you again for coming on and spending some time. I know you're a busy man. We're all busy people. We all have lives, and we do this as a fun thing on the side. So, like I said, check out the website. As soon as this cast is over, I'm gonna put it in to the description box. So if you don't want to go and do the Googles, you can just click on the link below. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming in. I had a lot of fun talking here. We talked a lot about retro stuff, and hopefully the next live chat I can get another interesting person on, and we'll be stopping the broadcast. Thanks a lot.